Hello, Ari. Good afternoon.
Hey.
Balakrishna here. I'm using Shane's account.
Yeah, I'm wondering that, Shane sounds different now.
Yeah. So Shane had a parallel meeting and he gave me the host control so that I could start the meeting.
It's not yet afternoon here. It's 11:30. So, but we are soon there.
I'm sorry then, I think. Yeah. Good morning.
Good day.
And Yari, now I'm pasting all your edits here. In between, I actually saw something which we did not consider during the last time.
Okay.
Let me just tell you the page number from your document.
I'm just opening now the kind of the live document from OneDrive.
Sure.
So I have it open. Actually, do you know why there's this cloud in the original pictures?
Even I don't know. I think we should get rid of it.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because I was like, cloud? That's all right, but normally this is done, let's say, in organization or whatever, and it's nothing to do with the cloud. So I just left it out. So I thought that if somebody wants to have a cloud there, we can add it, or I can add it quickly. But to me, it was just odd place to have a cloud there.
I don't think it would be necessary. So Yari, what we did not consider in the last discussion of ours is in page number 14, enterprise process example.
Let me go to page. Oh yeah, the kind of the big picture there.
Yeah, enterprise process example. I think this also needs to adapt to your new interpretation, right? Then it would look much better.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. And there's the cloud again.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know why there's a cloud there. Somebody just likes clouds. Whoever made the
True
pictures in the first place.
Hello, Shane.
Hi there. Evening. How are you doing? Good day.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Shane, shall I log out from this ID and join in from my ID?
No. You stay there. I'm just passing through.
Okay.
I'm here to see how things are going and also just report on what I've done. So, Balakrishna, Yari, what I did was I went through chapter 3 and I took all of the table and just turned it into descriptive narrative text. So I think that problem is fixed now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we still have more to do, I think, but I gather that was one of the priorities.
Yes, so chapter 2 is almost handled. Yari has fixed it to a great extent. Chapter 1, we are almost done. We just need some review comments in chapter 1.
That's brilliant.
In chapter 2, we have new images which Yari has done, which I'm pasting right now. Due to the internet issues, it's a little slow, so kindly bear with me on that part.
Of course.
And with respect to chapter 4, as I was saying, do we have more participants coming in? Yes, Martin is here.
And actually, Balakrishna, there was this picture, like this architecture review template example. I don't know why that's there. I didn't take it out, but on page, is it page 15? Yeah, page 15, I believe.
We'll look into that. But before that, now that we have all participants in the meeting, this is the antitrust policy. It's available in the LF website. And for more details, you can ask Shane and the LF lawyers. And for today's topic, we have done a lot of editing over the last week. Yari has redesigned the chapter 2 images, which we will show right now. And Shane has replaced the chapter 3 tables into narrative description. Chapter 1 is almost done. We need review comments from all the participants. And for chapter 4, I have a proposal, and then we can discuss if it's feasible.
That sounds awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry, Yari, I interrupted you in between. Now we'll look into the
yeah, no worries, no worries.
content you're saying. Yep. Which was the page number it was?
I think it's page 14. There's this just kind of box like architecture review template and then example.
Yes. So I wanted to mention this. I think this architecture review template would have been better in our previous LFC 193, where we spoke about linking and transformation.
Yeah.
Those places. Here it's out of the place, is what I felt.
Yeah. Because I didn't take it out because I was scratching my head like why this big image is there. So, but I just left it there for time being. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that could go out.
Yeah, this feels more apt for the previous content what we discussed here in LFC 193. Where is that? I have that open actually. When I was looking through this image, I felt we could have added it here. Where is here? Incorporation, linking, and modifications. It would have been a better example here as an overall architecture view.
Are you sharing something? Because I just see the antitrust policy notice at the moment.
I'm very sorry. Yes.
No worries. So maybe we can add a box there in antitrust policy notice as well.
Yes. So can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah. So we could have probably when we are doing the maintenance next time of the course, we can probably bring in image like this, not exactly per se this image, an image like this, an overall architecture which might give an overview on our LFC 193 concepts for code building and distribution. I think it would be a better example here. So for time being, what we can do is, since this is in what is it, track changes mode, we can delete it, right? I'll have this deleted, and if someone comments that we need it here, then we can keep it.
Yeah.
Yes, and for now, I won't go through chapter 1 again because we are almost done with it. Just that I think one image here, which is the image. Yeah, this one image I need to add some narration. I think rest all are covered. With respect to chapter 2, I'll show what's the change Yari has done. Yeah, Yari has done changes from here, page number 15. Yari, could you please take the? Would you like to explain this, please?
Yeah, well, I just merged a couple of the boxes from the original pictures, and then I added this incoming open source SBOM, and that's kind of then the shortcut to the distribution. But I think to the text when explaining this, we need to add that, okay, this incoming SBOM needs to be reliable so that we can make, or whatever the organization can make the decision that, okay, we don't need to look into it, and we just like kind of pass it through more or less to the distribution.
Yeah, one major
that's
addition.
about it, and then I took out the cloud from the behind because I didn't understand why there's a cloud.
Yeah, and one major addition which Yari made here, which is more relevant for the current scenarios, is bringing in SBOM into the picture. It was much relevant because that's the talk of the town today, and we wanted to cover it in this course as well. And now we can bring in the SBOM LF course link also into this course. We can add it somewhere here, and I think we will create a better linking of other courses that needs to be covered along as part of these OpenChain courses. And once we paste these, so these images are right now in our local copies, and I will be pasting these local copy images onto OneDrive. Right now I'm in a shared network. That is the reason I have a low bandwidth. That's the reason I'm not able to copy. But after I go home, I'll be able to do it faster. I'll paste all the things there, and then we will enhance the narration. I think I'll complete the narration enhancement by today or tomorrow. Yari, if you want to do some narration part, you can also take. We can split a couple of images between ourselves.
Today I will be busy, and tomorrow maybe too. So hold on.
No problem. I'll start and then I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. I can, hold on. Just open my calendar.
Yeah. In with and again.
Let's see. Maybe there's like 1 hour there and there. I can
definitely we can connect offline.
Yeah.
Yes. And Yari, I saw some of your comments, and I have tried to implement some of the comments you mentioned, and some comments I do not have an answer for this, and I need some help with respect to what policies to bring here. I think Shane or Martin, you both can help me with this part. Are you talking about bringing in the OpenChain policies or the to-do group OSPO policies, or do we have to mention some content here as policies that needs to be followed? I did not get this particular comment, so kindly do help me with this.
Where's my everything? There we go. Well, normally you do have policies and processes together, right? So a policy could be no GPL v3, for example. That's an example policy. Well, if it's GPL v3, then you don't need to do a load of the stuff later in the processes. So they normally go together, a process and a policy. So I'm not suggesting we need to say very much, but probably just mention that here is probably sufficient.
Could you please add a couple of lines of text so that we get a context and then we start working on it?
Okay, I can try, yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much. And then I have addressed some of your comments on the earlier chapter, and I will look into your next comments here and try to do the same. I think with respect to introduction of OpenChain, Shane would be the best person to do that here. So we can request Shane to take up on how much exactly of OpenChain to be introduced here and what exactly to add, or if it is only to introduce the OpenChain link, then probably we can do that as well.
Yeah, I don't expect it's a much. It may just be one sentence and a link out to the OpenChain materials, but it makes sense to have something there rather than nothing.
Sure. So yeah, I think Shane would be the best person to do this, and we check with Shane to do that. And the next update which we have done is Shane did a major change today. In the chapter 3, we had a huge table where there were a lot of discussions on pros and cons of the compliance parts, that is proprietary copyleft, and the pitfalls of compliance and all those things. So he has changed all of them into narration, and they look very beautiful. We will look into this again when we are going through the
I have a small question about this, Balakrishna. Would you like me to do a sweep on chapter, say, 1 or 2 to try to kill any more bullet lists, or what would you like me to take as my next action item?
Shane, what I wanted to request with you is for the developer guidelines. I see that there's a very beautiful, a kind of a template that is given by to-do group by developer guidelines. So can we just give a link from developer guidelines to the to-do group part, or do we enhance this? I wanted to ask you about that part, but otherwise you could help us with reviewing the chapter 1 and chapter 2, and chapter 2 we will enhance the narration today and tomorrow.
Yeah, I think basically we can keep our developer guidelines relatively compact and point people to to-do group. So of course, it's great if we do have some material there so people can start with our resource, of course.
Done. Okay.
And it's probably easier stuff to do questions for the test as well, probably.
Yeah.
So I was going to say there's one bit on, I'm not sure if it's chapter 1 or chapter 2, where I think needs a little bit of thought and work, which is at the end of the introduction bit. So slightly up from that.
Here?
Yeah. So before that, actually. I had trouble editing stuff. Can you go earlier, please?
To the chapter 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is it chapter 1? It's probably earlier than that. Okay, yeah, before
I had
that.
some weird issues with editing the document as well. So I resolved some of the edits, leaving the comments and undone edits to just create more space, and then it worked for me.
Yeah, I couldn't. Track changes wasn't working for me. So can you go to the end of the previous chapter, please, Balakrishna?
Yeah, this is the end of the previous chapter.
Okay, it's slightly further up.
And then the review phases, you mean?
Yes, before that.
Okay, here.
Yep, before. Still before that. Yeah, before that, please.
Before that is the chapter 0, which we have brought into the introduction.
Okay. Yeah, I've lost track of what. Actually, did you take out the my alternate text from slide?
No, I did not take it out. Rather, I added it here and removed the unnecessary changes.
These just at the top of the page there, for example. If you go back a couple of lines or up a couple of lines. So like, for example, this key concept for code billing and distribution, the first paragraph was the original text. And then underneath it is my alternative text proposal, which I suggest you remove that. So I went through all those 3 sections, and because track changes wasn't working, I didn't want to make major changes. So I just made an alternate text one. So if you're happy with my alternate text, then please accept it and delete the other stuff. I did that for all those 3 bits.
Cool. So this is all chapter 0.
This is all
like
chapter 0. Yes, I think there was 3 or 4 places where I did that because the track changes wasn't working.
I see 4 places there.
Okay, thanks, Yari. So if we go down a little bit further, please, then Balakrishna.
Above?
Down, further in the document.
There are alternates here. Yeah, there are quite a few alternatives here.
Yeah, there's a few. So where we're okay, if you go, so I think that. Yeah. So here we've said we've got incoming open source, compliance activity, and outgoing open source. So we've introduced that concept. And then directly underneath that, we talk about a few steps, which is identifying all the open source components, identifying license, conforming obligations, delivering open source components. So all that is fine. What I'm concerned about is then we launch straight into an open source review, which is not tied to any of this stuff, which I think is kind of bullet point 1 and 2 of this, of where we've left the previous chapter, but it also doesn't map to that really detailed enterprise process. So it's kind of, it's a bit odd. It's a disconnect at both ends. It's not clear to me where and how that review chapter kind of fits it. And not, I mean, it makes sense what it is. It just doesn't make sense in what comes before it and what comes after it. So I think either we need to link it into what has come before. Maybe it's a slightly more detailed view of these 4 bullet points. But in which case it probably needs some other stuff with it as well. And then the enterprise version is the whole detailed one, or we kind of take it out and go straight into the whole detailed one. I'm really not quite sure, but at the moment it's a bit of a weird disconnect.
My understanding was we had the huge introduction here, so that we can get directly into open source review, right? We spoke about compliance management and what we did, the recap, and then the next step is the open source review. And open source review is talking about these 4 steps more in detail and the roles that are involved. So that was my understanding.
Well, it's definitely not talking about all 4 of those steps. It's possibly talking about the first 2 steps, in which case, well, why don't we then talk about the second 2 steps? But you see my point?
Yeah.
And it's not actually introduced as attacking those first 2 bullet points either, which is fine. We can do that and say, looking at these 2 things, we suggest you do an open source review and here's some information. But then surely it should then talk about the conforming to the obligations and other stuff. It's just, I don't know, for me, it just doesn't quite fit right. Something needs fixing somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where. And there may have been other source material. Obviously, that open source review material was cut and pasted from somewhere else. So perhaps there was some other stuff there that we could reuse to fix the gaps. But that was my concern around those parts.
Because I think these are coming from the slides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good material. It just doesn't quite flow right. I think it's for people coming into it, they're going to be confused, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I get your point now, Martin. Yes. So first 2 points, the identification part of the component and the license we have discussed. But again, later we have just remotely touched upon the meeting obligation part and post verification while delivering part here in the images. But of course, we have never discussed about how exactly the obligations are met and how are the obligations are distributed when the software is being delivered. So we have not met that as detailedly as here, but of course we have remotely touched that in the end-to-end compliance example process. So probably we might have to add 2 topics here on how to meet obligations, a brief overview on meeting obligations, because we can never completely give a you know what can I say, consultation kind of a text review here or a text here about meeting obligations, but probably we can explain that in a more high level way.
Yeah, I think that's okay. We could, as you say, make clear that review is attacking those one of the ways of attacking those first 2 bullet points. And yeah, there's some simple information about the second 2, and then go into here's a detailed enterprise end-to-end example with a lot of detail if you're interested in that. I think that does work okay.
So these 2 headings should be fine, right? Oh, so we deliver these into, I mean, now I have vaguely put a heading. I have vaguely put 2 headings, and then we develop this into 2 topics, which touches upon how we meet the obligation and how to meet the delivery of obligations during software distribution. I think this should address all the 4 points which we have discussed here.
Okay.
And then we move on to end-to-end compliance process. Is that fine?
Okay. That seems fine. Yeah, makes more sense to me.
Okay. So I look into this today as well. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just actually now looking a little bit more into detail to this chapter 1, and for this course, I'm not sure that do we need to go this much into detail of the review, because it's
again, Yari, here in terms of review, we are just introducing the roles.
Yeah.
We're not exactly going into their detailed responsibilities.
Yeah. Maybe it's okay, and because it's difficult to kind of go into the head of somebody who sees this the first time. Because I remember seeing this on the slide deck and just like, okay, like makes sense, blah blah blah. But then somebody who sees these for the first time and who's not that much into, let's say, open source compliance, I don't know if this confuses them.
That is a difficulty which I find. I think Shane also had shared this experience last year when we were doing LFC 193. We, being used to open source, we see everything and we are like, okay, this is an introduction. But how do we exactly convey the same thing to some person who is new to open source? That's the challenge.
Yeah. But yeah, like, all of these steps do make sense, definitely. But I'm just like, is it too much for somebody who is not familiar with all these? I don't know. Yeah, but yeah.
I think it can definitely be.
Yeah, I think there's no right or wrong answer there.
Yeah, I think it can definitely be simplified a bit. I mean, they've got the picture of the circle diagram with the executive review committee at the bottom. And then there's like 1 sentence and then like the same picture without the executive review committee. I think you can delete that repeat of the picture again. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. So when I'm adding more narration for this, I'll remove the duplicate images and then I'll try to combine the explanation. That should make it a little simpler, right?
Yeah.
And just for some historical context, those images basically come from Samsung with the old Samsung US office in San Francisco. So, you're looking at something that kind of came out of a very big org, and therefore there's plenty of room to say it could be confusing for people new to the space or from smaller organizations.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And during our last discussion, we had also discussed how exactly to bring different organization scales into picture. And I'm very honestly still a little confused on how to introduce that here about, how to depict a different scale of organizations and on how they have to handle the end-to-end compliance management. Oh, and by the way, I'll be removing this part because this we have already covered in chapter 1.
Yes, I know there's a few places where the text that I moved was still existing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good to get rid of those.
Okay, then. So for chapter 4, I'll get in touch with you people again because I'm quite, I have a different feel for chapter 4. I don't know. So I'll try to get in touch with you people again. But if you have some, suggestions or proposals, probably you can add comment over there, or you can start working on it for chapter 4. Shane, I request you for this chapter 2 OpenChain edition, where Martin has added this comment here.
Yep.
So I think you can
okay.
add this introduction to OpenChain over here in chapter 1, where we have already enhanced the text.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on it.
Yeah, it's more a reference, I guess, rather than an introduction as such. But
yeah,
here. But
Yep, okay. Count me as on that.
Thank you. Yes, so I think with this, we are done for today's discussion. We just update all the work that has been done on the local copies, and then address rest of the narration that has to be done here. And by end of this week, I will send out an email for review checks, and then we connect again. Does it sound fine?
That sounds great. And I'll try to put some extra time into sweep as well this week.
Sure. Thank you very much, Shane.
Oh, guys, you know what's really amazing? Sometimes it feels like we're working in a small corner alone. But the fact is, the last time the course went out there, we got this incredible score. And LF training was like, hey, when's the next one coming? So just know that your work is having a big impact.
Yeah, but Shane, we don't know if that's just us doing the course and then scoring ourselves highly at the moment. I don't think crap. I haven't heard any statistics on how many people have done it.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to get those statistics. Shane,
I'll reach out to get the stats.
Yes, thank you very much. But as I know, my colleagues here in Bosch, at least 10 of them have done that, and they gave a good review. So thank you all.
Thanks for telling them to do so. Great.
All right, everyone. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
So good review, and you give them a cookie or something like that. So
definitely. Thank you, Ari. So I'll connect with you again offline.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you, Martin. Yep. Bye bye.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Ciao.